All right, guys, welcome to our session today, Burlington English and the Minnesota Transitions Integration Framework. So today we're going to be looking at Burlington English curriculum through the Transitions Integrations Framework lens. Our session today is going to be very interactive. So please roll up your sleeves, get your chat ready, get your fingers ready to type. We are going to be asking you to dig into the TIF at a glance document with us, dig into Burlington a bit with us, and it'll be a lot more fun if it's not just us talking at you, but you all joining in.
Yeah, we're
So
excited to have
welcome
you all.
today. All right, and just introducing ourselves here. So my name is JennaRose Dahl. I'm the customer manager for Burlington English in Minnesota. I've been with Burlington English for over 6 years now. And travel all across Minnesota and Wisconsin to support programs in all kinds of different contexts, from colleges to dairy barns. Um, it's a pretty cool job, and I get to see ELL happening in a lot of different contexts. Before Burlington English, I worked for 8 years for Literacy Minnesota, and I taught with Burlington English curriculum, also taught computer basics classes, and then also worked for the North Star Digital Literacy Assessment. So lots of different hats as we all wear in our nonprofit adult ed fields. And happy to be here with Burlington English and you all today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Xiong, and I've been with the company and working with JennaRose for it'll be 5 years this year with the company. And I am your customer representative here in Minnesota. I help out with all of the training and support with the programs. So working very closely with our teachers, if it's brainstorming teaching tips with Burlington English or creating correlation charts to the material that you're using, connecting it to Burlington English where it can be found, and also really working really closely with your students, showing students how to navigate with our platform and our curriculum, and really just brainstorming with you, educators, to see how we can make Burlington English best fit and go over any barriers that might come up. Before Burlington English, I was working at an immigration law firm, Wilson Law Group in Minneapolis. So doing fun things like family-based petitions, naturalizations, immigration court things. But I'm really happy to be working in the adult ed field and really working with the same community. So again, welcome everyone. We're excited to have you here.
Awesome. So our session today, we're going to explore how Burlington English supports the 6 categories of the Transitions Integrations Framework. Again, digging in pretty deep here. Get ready to type and engage.
And if y'all will type in the chat, 1 to 5, how familiar are you with TIF? And I'll just type that in.
Yes, and don't feel like you have to know everything about TIF. We sure don't. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I took the TIF course maybe 10 years ago. It feels like it's been a really long time. So Sue and I both did a refresher course to get ready for this
Yes.
session. But we're coming to you as colleagues who we know Burlington English really well. We know TIF a bit, and all of us can work together to kind of see the connections.
Definitely. I think
Awesome.
whatever you have, information that you have to share with your experiences, is super helpful for us, and what we have, we'll share with you as well.
Mhm.
Generals, what are the our
Yeah,
attendees
we're
saying?
getting a we're getting a range. So we've got a couple of ones, a couple of threes, a 4 and a 4.5.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we do have some folks that have worked with TIF a bit, and some that are new. All right.
So the Transitions Integrations Framework is one of 3 sets of standards we use in Minnesota Adult Ed. So we have the College and Career Readiness Standards. Those are used nationwide. Everyone is required to use those. Um, we have our North Star Digital Literacy Standards, which were really born here in Minnesota. and help students with the digital literacy skills they need to succeed. And then we have this transitions integration framework, which includes all of those soft skills, transition skills to help students move to the next stage in their career, in their academic life, in their community. Um, really, really important skills that sometimes get missed in our, you know, in daily curriculum. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and I can share, I'll pull up so that we can see at a glance. Um, kind of, I'll just skim through it here. Can you all see my screen okay? Okay. So here's that sheet and having those 6 different skills that we'll be covering. And in this sheet, there are those skills, a summary of those skills, and we'll dive in deeper today too. Um, we'll be able to see on this sheet what skills students will be able to do and different sub skills that connect with that. So we'll use that sheet today.
Yeah, and something to point out, so in that transitions integrations TIF at a glance document, this is a really slim, easy to read document. So there's tons of TIF content. There's a full TIF course you can take available through Atlas. There's the full TIF document, which is going to go much, much deeper and show you, okay, for example, effective communication. The first skill here, students will be able to engage positively and actively with individuals one-on-one in team settings. Then we've got our sub skills. That full TIF document is going to go much deeper and show you how you can work with these with different levels of learners. But I love this short, an easy document to be able to reference. And I would think like if I was teaching and I knew I had to meet these skills, I like the fact that these are all little check boxes. So I might print out this TIF at a glance document and make sure I'm teaching these skills throughout the year and kind of check them off as I teach them.
And one little plug too, as I would, taking a look at that document, it's a different document that we'll reference and we can share it out as well. Is that those with that TIF document, there are activities that teachers can take a look at for thinking about different ideas of how you can incorporate it in your classroom, how you might incorporate it with technology as well. So, all right. So we looked at that. So let's take a look here. TIF, or the Transitions Integration Framework, was designed to provide ABE programs and instructors with guidance on the effective integration of transitional skills, also known as soft skills or professional skills, which JennaRose mentioned earlier, in conjunction with the college and career readiness standards into instructions at all levels of adult education. So kind of like this, and talking about it like an overlay. We'll be going over these 6 skills: critical thinking, developing a future pathway, effective communication, learning strategies, navigating systems, and self-management. I'd love to, if we, again, another question to help us get engaged. If you could share how you currently incorporate one of these 6 skill areas into your instructions, if you do. And for my number ones, when you posted earlier, thinking about these topics, are there anything that you do in class already that kind of um, connects to these points, even if this is kind of new to you?
I'm seeing navigating systems, working with online applications with students. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
navigating digital systems, that's a whole different thing. Um, Gosh, things like some self-management I did with my students. We did some goal setting and some planning for, okay, if your goal is to reach this level or to be able to do this, what are the steps that we're going to take, to help you meet that goal? Developing a future pathway, doing some IET classes. Um, Someone is saying self-management, how to organize your materials, the
Oh,
paper,
great.
digital, the logins, the files, the emails. Yes, That is
Oh, I think
really
that's
important.
super important. I see that every day when I visit the classrooms of teachers working with students to say, how are you organizing your homework? How are you organizing your logins for your very various platforms that you're using? So definitely to help with their
Mhm.
learning.
And then we have for short-term occupational class, students are completing multiple self-evaluation surveys to assess their own attendance and homework and participation, doing learning strategies with test-taking strategies, organizing notes, and different study skills. Awesome.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little warm up. So pull out your phone, and or you can do this on your computer if you prefer. I like to have my phone so I can see the screen with my eyes and then have my phone here in my hand. And we're gonna go to kahoot.it. And just in a minute here, we'll give you a PIN number to enter. This is just a little warm-up quiz to kind of see where we're at so far, see what we know right now, and get us thinking about these different skill areas.
Great. So Kahoot.it, and now I'm going to pull up our Kahoot. So I'm gonna navigate there, and I will pull this up. Here, going to start, and our pin will be loading up.
Mhm.
Right. So our game pin, 4239236. So we'll just wait for our friends to join.
Hooray, two of you are fast and here already. That is amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys are speedy. Okay, great. So we'll wait just one more minute.
Okay.
Okay, I think I think we're maybe missing one person. All right.
All right.
So
You think we're
does
good to
anyone
start?
need any help getting in? Just put in the chat if you need any help getting in. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Great. I'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, so you're going to see the question here on the screen, and you'll be able to click the answer on your device. The first one's a true or false. The TIF is one of three sets of content standards for Minnesota adult education. Hooray!
Great.
Yeah, and Sue, these do have sound. I don't know if it's able to come through.
Let's see.
I think the little music makes it even more exciting personally.
Apologize. I'm gonna
No,
go
you're
ahead and I'll
fine.
see. I'll see if I can share the sound.
Mhm.
All right, let's see if that works. We'll go to the next question. Great job, Christy.
What does TIF stand for?
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
4 seconds left. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we're trying to trick you there. So that transitions integration framework. Ooh, Elizabeth, fast fingers. Okay, how many categories does TIF have?
5 seconds. Great.
All right, 6 categories. All right, Elizabeth's still in the top here. So we've got a true or false. One of the TIF categories is effective communication. That one is true.
I'll be going over that with y'all.
Another true or false. One of the TIF categories is learning scaffolds. False. It is, right? Learning strategies. All right, another true or false. One of the TIF categories is developing a career pathway. All right, that one was trickier. That one is true.
Oh,
It looks like it marked it as false. That's goofy. Okay, that one's supposed to be true.
it's true.
Well, it's called developing a future pathway.
That's what it
So
was.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but
No, I think that's why I marked it false. I tricked myself with my own trick question, guys. Oh my gosh. Too funny. That future pathway is right, Carly. Which of these is a TIF category? Critical thinking.
Great work.
Right. All right, and which one of these is a TIF category? Learning strategies, yes. Awesome. And then which one of these is a TIF category? Awesome. Developing a future pathway. I'm going to really remember that one now. This
Same
quiz,
here.
I made it for you, but it's helping me.
All right, last one.
All right. Which one of these is a TIF category? I know Elizabeth is on fire. She had her coffee today. All right. Navigating systems. Great work, guys. All
Third
right,
place,
Christy.
Christy.
Woohoo. And Carly. And Elizabeth.
Applause for Elizabeth.
Nice job.
Thanks, everyone. So I'll go ahead and I'll just exit out of that. And we'll go back to our presentation. So thanks, JennaRose, for getting that prepped, getting all of us thinking about TIF and pulling on our background knowledge. So the first skill that we'll be talking about today is critical thinking. Critical thinking empowers learners to move beyond simple fact recall by using purposeful, evidence-based reasoning. Learners actively apply strategies such as analyzing relationships and drawing informed conclusions. Something that I think about is how does this affect at work? At work, critical thinking shows up when our students decide what to do when something doesn't go as planned, or when any employee decides what do you have to do if a problem arises? What's some quick thinking about the situation at hand. In real life, I think about strategic decision thinking when organizing my own workloads. in my day-to-day responsibilities, I work with many programs, lots of teachers that are different. None of them are this exact same. I think about how I can best support my teachers with and also their students, what barriers those students are having as they're learning, if it's external barriers like family responsibilities, transportations, what can we put in place to help support those barriers? And also what goes on internally if those students are having learning disabilities, emotional or psychological factors, what resources I can connect our programs to, but really thinking about um, organizing my workload and prioritizing what can be done on this day, when to do all of that. So that's what I think about when connecting these critical thinking skills in my day-to-day life. So with this skill, our teachers who are teaching this, um, students will be able to skill one, organize, analyze, and illustrate relationships between components, items, and ideas. So our students will be able to solve problems, use information to draw conclusions and make decisions. And lastly, recognize bias, assumptions, and multiple perspectives. In the classroom, I think about the skill of reading. We're using critical thinking whenever we're interacting with texts, and I know that reading is a big part of any ESL classroom, whether if it's reading passages or analyzing everyday documents. We teach our students to think beyond what's written out, and also when reading texts, thinking about what the author's message is. Having our students think about what symbols and signs they see day to day, and we teach our students to use critical thinking skills for everyday scenarios. For example, navigating cultural nuances, such as, in the US, punctuality is a big thing. That's something that we need to stay at top of mind when we're, um, you know, as we go to class, having meetings. Also thinking about body gestures. So as I was doing some research for this presentation, one example that came up was this example of thumbs up. In the US, we know that it's a positive sign, but it can be offensive in some Middle Eastern countries. So having students think about those social circumstances, using critical thinking. Students are also dealing with idiomatic language. So language that's used figuratively versus literally. And then also resolving social misunderstandings. So having students think about their their own culture, what's normal for that, and then here in the US, what's the norm here? One example that I thought about, even from my own culture, was talking about topics. So some topics are kind of talked around versus talked about directly. Where is it found in Burlington English? So here is a screenshot of a lesson, of a reading lesson. In our lessons, teachers are able to pull up a summary and thinking and also look at what skills are taught in that lesson. So in this specific lesson, students are going to interact with text and they'll identify the main idea of the text, analyze supporting details, and use context clues to infer word meanings. All of these skills are critical thinking skills. So in our lessons, we also have teaching tips. So these are going to be with the symbol of a person and a stick, and they're sprinkled throughout our lessons. Teachers can choose to talk about them. And so with this teaching tip, we're thinking about the main idea, talking about that, introducing that to our students. And then as we look below that, we have our critical thinking skills. So here, we're going to be working on analyzing, working with this piece of text and answering these comprehension questions. So we are going to do a little practice. I hope that you have your TIF at a glance document. If you don't already, feel free to pull it up. We're going to do a little practice. We're going to take a look um, or we'll have the lesson pulled up, and I want you all to look at the critical thinking section of that document. It's on page 7. And let's see what skill or sub-skills connect to the critical thinking. Yeah, JennaRose.
And then, yeah, I just wanted to note, so we have two TIF at a glance documents that we put in the chat. The first one was, I think, um, the page numbers are different.
Oh, are they?
So I
Okay.
think, I'm pretty sure it's the second one that has the page numbers that we have on the screen. But either way, go to the page on critical thinking.
Yeah, thank you. And then JR, maybe I'll have you monitor the chat as we kind of do this activity.
That sounds good.
Thank you. So again, here you'll have that pulled up. And looking at our BE lesson, we have a passage, handling criticism in the workplace. And then we have our comprehension questions. What is the topic of the article? In question number 2, it asks, which sentence below expresses the main idea? So as you're looking through the document, what sub-skills kind of connect to critical thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, what might you teach in this lesson? Like looking at this lesson on handling criticism in the workplace, where we're going to be looking at the main idea, we're going to be analyzing the text. Our questions are asking which sentence expresses the main idea, so we're really asking them to kind of cite their proof.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And feel free, you can unmute or you can type in the chat, whatever works for you and whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And again, you don't have to be an expert. We're all learning together. Any
Mhm.
thoughts or ideas, anything that sticks out initially or that you think could work?
All right, Elizabeth said, she says, skill 4, understanding perspective of others.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I can definitely see something there. Under skill 4, those sub skills recognize a speaker or writer's intent or purpose, identify and compare perspectives, identify and evaluate bias and assumptions, and recognize bias in a variety of media. I think there's a lot in there that you
Yeah.
could teach with this lesson. I also was looking at, yeah, the first skill. If we go that last sub skill, the support positions using prior knowledge and supporting evidence, we're asking
Yeah.
them to, say what's the main idea, what's your evidence. Um, I think there's several different sub skills that would really apply to Burlington. And just to be clear, it's not like this is the one lesson in Burlington where you can teach critical thinking skills. The reality is Burlington curriculum is so rich that you can kind of find these sub skills hidden in many of the lessons and really neat and easy ways to teach them. Yes,
Definitely.
and we had Danielle say, yep, solving problems. Carlin saying she'd review the structure of the document, look for the title and header, remind students that the main idea is typically found in the topic sentence. Yes, so helping them really think critically as they read, helping them understand the different parts of their reading text. Yes, and that relationship between components is skill 1. Yes, thank you, Carlin.
Thank you, everyone. All right. So moving on, thank you for everyone for kind of doing that exercise. We'll be doing, that'll be a good preview of what we'll be doing a lot of in this presentation. Next, I kind of wanted to talk about the workforce impact of critical thinking. So it allows our students to solve problems instead of being told what to do. Again, what I mentioned earlier, when students are thinking about these critical thinking skills, they're kind of organizing their workload. They're thinking about what's the best way to proceed in certain situations, solving these skills. So they'll, our students are being taught how when something is wrong and how to suggest solutions, and also that they can follow procedures and know when to ask questions. Our employers care because it's less micromanagement, faster problem solving, and better decision thinking under pressure. So our students who use critical thinking skills can make good decisions, solve problems, and handle unexpected situations.
All right. So next category is mine, developing a future pathway. And my mom recently sent home one of those big plastic bins with all of my stuff in it. So I found this great worksheet from my kindergarten class. That when I grow up, I want to be a crossing guard. That was my career goal. That was my future pathway. As a 5-year-old, I saw those flags, I saw those vests, and I thought, they're keeping people safe, they're doing important work. I want to be a part of it. That isn't where I landed. No one told me about adult ed when I was 5. And I'm sure, like me, you've all had really interesting pathways to get where you've gotten in adult ed. So I would love to hear, just type in the chat, when you were a kid, what was your dream job? What were you thinking of? Um,
And I can go ahead and I can take a look at the chat here.
mhm.
Carly shares owning an ice cream shop. Hmm.
Amazing. A Broadway star. Yes, work. Oh my gosh. Love these. So owning an ice cream shop, like developing the pathway for that kind of a career. Oh my gosh, you would need
So
some,
many,
yeah,
so many
business
skills.
management skills. You'd need to like, yeah, learn how to read
Marketing.
staff. Yeah. One of my first jobs was at a Bridgman's ice cream shop. I got really strong right arm muscles from scooping that ice cream.
Oh, fun.
Solid job.
Danielle shows
Veterinarian.
teacher, veterinarian,
A mom
trucker,
trucker.
teacher, mom.
Oh, oh yeah. And Carlin, I love school supplies, wanted to be a secretary so I could have lots of access. These are adorable answers. I love this. Yes, so when we come up with our career goal, a future goal, whether it's professional, work related, academic, another community goal, like I would like to be the mayor of my town. We have to develop that future pathway. We can't just say, I want to own an ice cream shop and then snap your fingers and own an ice cream shop. We need to come up with our business plan. We need to get the different education needed. We need to get the different skills needed. Um, Lots of different pieces and steps to get to that future goal. Awesome. Teacher, vet, pastor, farmer, and zookeeper. Yes, I feel like a zookeeper right now. I accidentally ended up with 3 cats and going from room to room, taking care of them. Oh my gosh. So, developing a future pathway. This helps adult learners gain a deeper understanding of their own skills, interests, and strengths, and how these can transfer to success in career, family life, or broader community. So it's not just how do I get the next promotion, but transitioning to lots of future different um, paths and goals. And it's also really looking internally. What kind
Yeah.
of skills and interests and strengths do I have already that would transfer? If I know I'm really great with people, that's going to be awesome in my ice cream shop. If I know I have great social media skills, that's going to help me advertise my ice cream shop. um, all of those different skills and interests that are really going to help us when we make a decision about our pathway. Okay, so our skill areas here, number 1, students will be able to evaluate their personal strengths, skills, values, and beliefs to inform decisions about their own pathway. Skill 2, students will be able to explore available options in order to identify one's future pathway. And skill 3, students will be able to effectively complete the steps needed to enter into a selected pathway. So we're evaluating, we're exploring, and we're going through the steps to actually enter that pathway. All right, so a couple of things, oh my gosh, I want to point out again, Burlington English curriculum has a ton of content around this. If we have time later, we'll dig a little bit deeper into this career exploration and soft skills course. So this is a full course that's broken up into two parts. The first part is all career exploration. So it's about me and my interests, my career pathway, my background, my personality and skills, and my work values are the first 4 lessons in that course. So you can see how they all perfectly match up with the TIF already. This was written to the employability skills framework, which has a lot in common with TIF. And basically in this course, you're going to look at the 16 different Department of Ed career clusters. Students are going to learn and research jobs in those clusters. So for example, they might look at the healthcare cluster and they might read about being a pharmacist, and then they're going to see a career ladder that shows exactly how to meet that goal. They're also going to follow the path of a student meeting with a career counselor, and the career counselor is going to ask the student about their skills and abilities. Then what they do is they have some really great worksheets where they're going to do research on each career, and then they're going to look at their own skills and values and sum up if it is or isn't a good career for them. The second part of this course is all about soft skills. So everything for getting a job, effective relationships, things like teamwork or communicating, respecting differences. Again, a lot of TIF soft skills are kind of embedded in this course. Workplace skills, and then again, like what kind of education and training do you have to do to meet that next goal?
Yeah.
Um,
One thing that if I could add, one
yeah.
thing I really like this activity where teachers are kind of serving their students. Students will do their own kind of research into what field they want to go into. Think about the different jobs in that career field. That's a possibility, and um, kind of thinking about, okay, what, just like what you're saying, what level of schoolings that students will be needing for that requirement, and seeing if that job is the right fit for them. So just an example of the activities, one of the activities that teachers are doing with their students in this curriculum.
Okay, so next we're going to play just a couple of minutes of one of the videos in this career exploration and soft skills course. As we're playing, you should be thinking about those sub skills. So think about those specific developing a future pathway, not career pathway, a future pathway sub skills in our document here, and listen for those in the video.
So I'll have it pulled up here, and then I'm going to just skip to one of the certain parts that we looked at. Just a moment.
Hello again.
Right here.
When I was growing up, my mother worked and I had to take care of my 4 younger sisters and brothers every day after school. I organized games and other activities to keep them busy, so I certainly have a lot of patience.
Being able to organize games and activities probably means that you have very good organizational skills. So patience and good organizational skills, these are qualities that are important for a lot of jobs. What else?
Well, you know how kids sometimes argue? I would stay calm, listen to both sides, and try to understand how they felt. Then I try to find a solution. I usually did.
That shows that you've got a lot of problem-solving skills. You're a good listener, and you've got a lot of emotional intelligence. That means that you're aware of your own and other people's feelings. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, when my brothers and sisters were a little older, I often helped them with their homework. They said I was really good at explaining things in clear and simple language.
Which means that you've got a lot of good communication skills. So, let's recap. It sounds like you're patient and you're a good listener. You've also got emotional intelligence, good communication skills, and good organizational skills. On top of that, you've got problem-solving skills. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Do you see why personal qualities and soft skills are important when choosing a career?
Yes. If your personality matches with the needs of the job, chances are you'll succeed in that job and you'll really enjoy it.
That's right. So where do you see yourself in the future, Samira?
Well, I think I would really like to work with young children.
And do you think you have the right personal qualities for that job?
Yes. After speaking with you today, I have a much better understanding of myself and my skills. I really do think I have the right qualities for the job.
Well, I agree. But most of all, it seems to me that you really love working with children. But it's important to think about more than one career. I'll help you look for jobs that involve working with children, but also other jobs in the field of health sciences.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Ms. Norris. This meeting has been really helpful.
You're very welcome. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Today's meeting went very well. By focusing on Samira's personal qualities and soft skills, she's able to better understand the jobs that she would be good at. We'll talk more about it at our next meeting.
All right, thank you. And yeah, Carly wrote in the chat, the conversation sounds very familiar. We're drawing out the qualities and skills from adult learners. Exactly. We know they already have a lot of these qualities and skills, and it's great to be able to put them on paper, identify them, quantify them.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I added this worksheet too. It's just too obvious. We've got such great content that matches up. So this is a worksheet in that career exploration and soft skills course. It's called My Career Pathway. And essentially, students, first they go through and follow the path of a student who goes through this. They identify that student's long-term goal and the skills and education they're going to need to meet that goal. And then they build one for themselves. So this is the worksheet where they're building one for themselves. They're going to write down their long-term goal there in the upper right. And then if you see in the lower left, it lists work. In the lower right, it lists education. And we've got this kind of winding road. So we know our career pathway might have a couple of twists and turns. We know we might need some work experience and we might need some classes or some education in order to meet that final goal. And this is just a really great visual example to be able to make that plan with your students. These worksheets are also fillable PDFs, so you can pull it up on your screen, you can type in yours, you can do a model of your own, and then have your students do theirs also. Yes, and Carly also mentioned there could be unpaid or paid work that fits into those blanks too, volunteer work, other things that help students on their pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, we looked at a couple of different Burlington lesson samples, so feel free to think through any of those. Which sub-skills from developing a future pathway did you see that would fit naturally, when you're teaching this content?
So we'll give you all some time to take a look at that TIF at a glance document, reflect about the documents that we shared here in BE and that video that we just watched. Any connections you think that kind of connect to that TIF at a glance?
Yeah. Christy says skill 1A, the critical thinking. So yeah, under that future pathway, students' ability to recognize and use vocabulary related to their skills, values, and beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Identifying their personal interests. See 1B, yep, that identifying their personal interests, and 2A,
Yeah.
so that's link personal skills and interests to various careers or community opportunities. Definitely. They were linking her skills saying, okay, you've got these great skills that are going to work well working with children and sorting out, their issues or arguments that they're having. Mhm.
All right, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, guys.
So let's go ahead and we'll move on. And the next skill that we're going to be talking about is effective communication. So effective communication connects individuals through a clear, two-way exchange of ideas and information using spoken, written, and nonverbal language. I like us to think about, what really is effective communication? It's this two-way, two people and making it so that these two people can understand each other and really helping our students be able to advocate for themselves, um, have other folks that they're speaking to understand them, and also how they're receiving that information, how, if they're understanding it. In the workplace, it's not just about speaking English correctly, it's making sure that the message is understood and acted upon. For me, I think about with effective communication, I use it every day. If it's anything with my team members kind of collaborating or really helpful, really effectively communicating what's helpful for me as a team member and also communicating that to my other team members. It's email correspondence when I'm sending messages to my team members, or if it's to my supervisors, if it's my partners that I work with, making sure that I'm really thinking about my message between that and that we're communicating clearly and getting that message across. I'd love it if you could type in the chat, what are some situations where students must demonstrate effective communication? Situations that maybe you've taught them or that happen day to day. How does this come up?
Yeah, when they need help with comprehension,
Mhm.
maybe emailing a teacher at their children's school. hmm Yeah, and thinking, yeah, but when they need help with comprehension, they're asking a specific question to help understand, yeah, that communication breakdown.
Definitely. I see that every day. Again, as I'm working with lots of many classrooms, I know I kind of get that insider of, when I'm working with a lot of Hmong students, and it can be a little hard when they can't express their questions to the teachers and kind of ask me to translate. And so having us think about, how are you asking your student or teaching them how to ask for help so that you can understand what they're asking, how they can communicate clearly themselves, how to ask for questions, to ask for what they need.
hmm
I also think about, you know, when you are when students are set to work on in group projects or assignments, are you communicating clearly with the students about your expectations of what's to be done, if they communicate with each other?
And that,
Um,
like, along with the emailing your teacher at a children's school, like the different tone or words that you might use when you're communicating formally or informally.
right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like that, when students are communicating, if they're not going to be absent from class. So and
Yeah.
also, this idea of effective communication really thinks about the use of technology when it's the right use of it in scenarios. When is the right use of technology? Are they to be on their phones? Things like that.
And like Minnesota specific, when we're talking about tone, I think about like Minnesota nice. I think about sometimes passive aggressive communication. I remember teaching my students, if someone says, "That's interesting," that can have a couple of different meanings depending on
Yeah.
the tone.
So with this skill, Students will be able to, skill 1, engage positively and actively with individuals in both one-on-one and team settings to accomplish goals. Skill 2, using language style, level of formality, and nonverbal cues appropriate to text and task in oral and written communication. And in skill 3, utilize a variety of technologies for communication. So again, really teaching our students to, what is teamwork? If students are teaching our students to effectively communicate with their team members at work, or if it's in the classroom with the teachers, having students teaching them about body language and what JennaRose has talked about with tone, if it's verbal tone or if it's through technology. In Burlington English, again, one of the teaching tips that we talk about in this lesson about customer service talks about tone and the importance of using what different tone to use. Some practice with that. We also have this lesson talking about writing an email to our supervisor. So in this example, students are analyzing an email, taking a look at that email, and again, employing those critical thinking skills as well. What is the problem in that's happening? How is it affecting her coworkers? And then in that last question, what solution does she suggest? And so you all know what's next. We're going to do a little dive and taking a look at that TIF at a glance. And let's go ahead and use this lesson as an example. So here, I believe it should be page 3. Let's see what subskills connect to this specific activity in Burlington English.
I see 2B coming in.
2B. So I'll go ahead and navigate here to at a glance. Let's see. Effective communication. We're going to go to page 3. 2B. So 2B. So choose appropriate register or level of formality for audience, purpose, and communication type. Person to person, text messaging, email, formal letter, phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely when you're writing, like in that lesson, we're writing an email about an issue. We're suggesting a solution. The way we write that, the formality and all of that is going to have an impact on how that message is received. We also are getting a 1F.
1F, yep. Employ effective strategies for resolving conflict. So right in that example, what solution does she suggest, with this problem in the lunchroom? Yeah.
Agreed, agreed.
And then I also thought
And
about
oh yeah, we got 3A also.
3A. Okay,
Mhm.
so 3A, evaluate and use appropriate technology tools for clear and meaningful interactions to suit purpose and audience.
100%.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and let's move on. All right. So thinking about how it connects to in the workplace, so effective communication reduces errors, improves teamwork, and builds trust in that workplace. Again, our students are learning how to speak to their team members, advocate for themselves when there's issues in the workplace, if they're needing extra help. Um, and let's see. So in effective communication, our students will be able to understand instructions, share information clearly, if that's with, again, their team members or their supervisors, and to be able to work well with others in that team setting.
Okay, so we're going to move right into navigating systems here. I had built in a break, but I took it out because we're cruising along here. But if you
Yeah.
ever need to take a break, feel free to just go do that. If you need to wiggle around, feel free to just do that. For navigating systems, so I want to tell you guys, I was an ABE student. Although I grew up here in Minnesota, I have kind of an odd educational background where I went to public school up through 6th grade, and then my parents took us out of school and gave us some very odd homeschool curriculum. So I had a very kind of strange and gap-filled education growing up. And I'm the first person in my family to attend college. So I decided I'm going to go to community college up in Duluth. And navigating systems is what I really, really struggled with. I did not know what a FAFSA was. I did not know when you go to a college classroom, how do you decide where to sit? Who tells you where to go? I did not know how high-speed internet worked. I did not know you could find computers in the library and get free access. I did not know so many things about the college. I hardly knew anything. So I had so many different systems to navigate, and not having the ability to do that, not having the knowledge really made me feel anxious, and it made my learning a lot harder. So it was really important for me to learn how to navigate these systems to be able to succeed. Navigating systems is that ability to effectively operate within organizations, including schools, workplaces, community groups. Learners who master this skill can adapt to their environment and solve problems as they arise. Yes, exactly. You don't know what you don't know. And okay, go ahead and type in the chat. What are some other systems that learners need to be able to navigate? Um, and I also think of this question in another way, like, if I told you, you and your entire family are going to be moving to Sweden next week, what are systems you would want to know to navigate? I would want to know how to navigate, yeah, the education system, do they have a career office there? Does Sweden have DoorDash? I would have a lot of questions about a lot of different systems. Yeah.
Yeah, and to that
Yes.
point, Christy shared, not knowing systems having lived in another country, not knowing systems automatically brings your stress level up. So
Mhm.
Carly
Yeah.
shares food assistance, healthcare, how Uber works. Yes, that transportation, how to set up utilities, taxes, who to ask for help. What resources are there in your community? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. Tons of different systems. Mhm. School apps, structure for their
Yes.
kids. Yeah, K-12 education. So the three skills under this category are that students will be able to seek information or assistance appropriately from others in order to successfully navigate specific systems. So thinking of myself, I had to know, oh, I need to ask my college advisor how to do a lot of these things. Um, Skill 2, students will be able to identify and comply with rules, policies, performance expectations within institutions and organizational structures. And skill 3, they'll be able to use information to draw conclusions and make decisions. So next we'll do a little peek here at a Burlington lesson. There's a lot of different lessons that work really well at this. This one was specifically on using systems. So this is in career exploration and soft skills. This is a lesson about Jackie running into his friend Bruce, and they have a conversation about what Jackie does for his job, um, what he thinks about it, what information he gets from airport staff, and then what he does if there's an accident, how he makes decisions based on, the different parts in that system. The little highlighted teaching tip is up there that says, when people in an organization work together for a result, it's called a system. Every part of that system affects the the parts. It's important to understand and use systems at work. And then I also pulled this. This is just from Burlington Core High Beginners. This is a safety lesson on workplace safety. So this one's going to have a video of adults at work. They're going to be talking about safety procedures. They're going to make suggestions. They're going to be looking at different signs that tell them what to do. And how to navigate those systems at work.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those two lesson samples that we peeked at, which sub skills might apply? Which ones come to mind when we look at those navigating system sub skills? All right, I see 1B, talking to a
1B.
friend about their job. And that 1B sub skill is
1B. So recognize, develop, and maintain relationships that may provide further or future assistance.
right. That's like a networking kind of sub skill.
Again, I'll keep this
Yeah,
up.
I also see that identify and utilize resources, print, electronic, and human. So the things like reading a sign, a safety sign at workplace, employee handbooks, HR, student support services. Under skill 2, I see the sub-skill, follow a standard procedure and protocol regarding behavior and tasks. So a lot of, following along with the system. Yes, 2A, relating to those safety signs, yes. Okay, awesome, great, thanks,
Right.
guys.
Let's go ahead and move on. All right, and the next skill that we're going to be talking about are learning strategies. Learning strategies are methods that help learners understand and apply new skills and knowledge, which enable them to engage with new content more independently. So in a job setting, I think about what can we teach our students to help them learn new tasks, adapt to change, and be more independent over time. For me, I think about this example of, or even this example of creating this presentation today, thinking about, okay, well, as TIF is a new uh, standards for me to learn these different concepts and topics, what did I have to employ? Um, Setting out time to kind of dig in and learn about these different skills that I'm presenting today. Also, day to day, even I thought about when I was onboarding, working with my team members and having them teach me what do they do to kind of organize their day-to-day tasks, and figuring out what I what was helpful for me, what made me feel comfortable in learning how to do these tasks, and also taking out what doesn't fit for me. In the classroom, I think about our teachers who are teaching new topics to students, having students build on prior knowledge, eliciting their prior knowledge, and then building on top of what they already know. We're also teaching our students how to infer when interacting with texts, using that text evidence, building on those words, and then having them think, okay, what does this mean? Um, Also, teaching our students to use the tools that they have at their disposal to help fill in what gaps they're missing. If it's another student that has expertise in a field, or using the internet to help them with with this learning process. So here are the skills that students will be able to do. Skill 1, apply appropriate strategies for comprehending oral or written language in texts and listening activities. Skill 2, apply appropriate strategies to organize, retain, and review materials in order to aid in understanding and recall. Skill 3, apply appropriate strategies to compensate for and fill in gaps in knowledge. Skill 4, articulate awareness of what helps one learn language and content. And let's see. I'm just checking on time. I think we'll be good to kind of skip this, and we'll just kind of connect into Burlington English. So right here. One of the things that we teach is time management. So that's one of the that's something that I kind of employ myself when learning new things. So what, I need to carve out time in my schedule to take time and really immerse with this new content. We have this lesson on asking questions. So in this teaching tip, we talk about in small groups, you can use informal language to ask questions such as, can you explain? Or what do you mean? In general, I just wanted to get your thoughts. So I know
Mhm.
we have about 8 minutes left.
Yeah, I
Should we
think if
just
you
go
just want to
through?
share the sub
Yeah,
skills you think of, that's perfect. Yeah.
awesome. That's what I'll
Hmm.
do. So what I thought about with this activity was in three. So here, I'll find that skill here on our sheet. Learning strategies. So for me, I thought about 3A, ask for repetition and clarification of unknown language and concepts. And then 3D. So identify appropriate resources and or means to fill in gaps in knowledge. For example, asking a teacher, consulting a dictionary, and doing your own online research. So with those ideas connecting to asking for help, who is a resource you can go to? All right. And
Okay.
yeah,
Oh yeah, go ahead. So
we'll go to self-management.
that sounds good. Thanks. I know we want to try to
Cover
fit
all of them.
everything in. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got self-management next. This one, oh my gosh, I love this category. Again, thinking of my kind of odd educational background, I came from a family that was not very interested in education. Um, if I had questions, my parents would say, "Well, we don't know how to do that, and we're fine, so you don't need to know how to do that either." um, and they really did give me my homework, my homeschool curriculum, and said, "Okay, you've got 9 months to do this. You figure out how you want to do it. You grade your own tests. You do. It's on you." So I learned those self-management skills at a very, very young age, and it has really helped me in my whole career. As a kid, what I did was pretty simple. I took a piece of construction paper and I drew a grid on it, lines up and down to make my own calendar. And then I said, okay, I've got to read these 100 pages for my science book. What if I read 10 pages this day and this day and this day? And I really broke things down piece by piece to manage my own learning, manage my own time and self. Thank you, Carlin. Yeah. Um, Okay, so those sub skills under self-management, or the skills rather, we're
Mhm.
going to set realistic goals and work independently to achieve them. We're going to manage information materials for your own learning and goals, and we're going to manage time effectively to complete tasks. Mm. So a couple little examples from Burlington here. This is a lesson on setting SMART goals. So really articulating with your goals, making them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based, really breaking down how to manage and meet those goals, manage your time. Um, and then I think we had another piece in here
Yep.
too. Yes, this is another lesson. This is from Burlington Core Advanced, and this is specifically writing an essay about your goals. Um, so first we kind of break down Helen's goals, and then we're going to write an essay about our own, and look at the steps that we're going to have to achieve those goals.
Right there.
Mhm. And also a lesson on managing time here, effectively managing your time, um, figuring out when the best time is for you to do an activity, keep on track. And some of the sub skills that I thought of
Yeah.
under self management were identifying steps to achieve a goal, and estimating time needed to complete tasks would be really easy to teach with those particular Burlington lessons. And again, this isn't comprehensive. Burlington has 6 levels of core, 3 levels of career exploration and soft skills, 3 levels of ready to work, 180 career courses, everything. And when I also was thinking about transitions integrations framework, I wasn't thinking just of the lesson topics, even though that's really natural and easy. I also was thinking about the way our curriculum works and how that might go along well with TIF. So we have 180 career courses. That means when students want to build their own pathway, we can make that really specific and find them content that's exactly right for their specific pathway. I also thought of Burlington is available 24/7. So if students want to manage their own learning, and if they decide I learn best if I set aside 2 hours between 10 p.m. and midnight, they can do that. It's accessible anytime. They can really manage their own learning and the way they access that content. They get immediate progress and scores, so the students don't have to wait for a teacher to grade homework. They can see how they do on an assignment. They can redo it. Um, they can really take ownership of that. Burlington also has a messaging feature, so students can message back and forth with their teacher. So that's another great place to kind of practice different tones of message that you might have. That writing portfolio has all of their writing saved, which is another great place to practice a lot of these TIF skills. And then we've got that whole entire career exploration and soft skills course. That's a 3-level course, and there's a new version of that course also that's called Ready to Work. It's made as a 6 to 8 week boot camp style career course. The other piece that I just really wanted to make sure you all know about is if you go into Burlington Core, so our main ELL curriculum that everyone's using, when you go into the in-class lessons, those teacher lessons, you've got a filter bar right at the top. So if you hit that filter and you go, let's search by workplace readiness, for example, let's apply that filter. Then we're going to see a lesson on achieving goals, an email on requesting a reference, help wanted, making small talk, safety concerns at work, asking for time off, all super important to our TIF skill areas. Yes, exactly. So that's just in one level, but you can do this with any level of core to get those workplace readiness kind of skills. A lot of them are going to apply to TIF.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's our time today. So yeah, that more resources slide, if you don't mind going back to that one, I'll just point out you can find a ton more on the Atlas website. So if you go to atlasabe.org and then click on resources, you can see that little purple circle with the arrow. ACEs TIF is the first category. It's arranged in alphabetical order, so really easy to find under resources. You can find full courses, you can find the TIF at a glance document, everything else to dig in deeper.
Thanks, Danielle. Yeah.